Gigi Sukin with Colorado Biz Magazine, and we are at UMB Bank today. I am fortunate enough to be sitting with Craiine. Hi, Eric.
Hi.
How are you?
Great. Good
Wonderful.
to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Remind us of your role here at UMB.
Sure. I'm Regional Director for Commercial Client Sales.
Perfect.
Mainly in Treasury Management, Commercial Card.
Perfect. And as I understand it, you are a fraud expert. Of all the hot topics that I would love to chat a little bit about that
Sure.
from your expert perspective. What's going on sort of in fraud protection right now? Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Well, that's definitely a topic that we hear a lot from our business owners as we're out with clients talking about growth of their business, different types of risks they're experiencing in their business. We see a lot of that. And so as you think about what's top of mind for a business owner, fraud is definitely up there in the list. And one of the things that helps capture that, like why is it a hot topic for them, is a survey that was published just this year. And it's from the Association of Financial Professionals. And the survey outlines the depth of fraud that we're seeing. So it's out there, it's certainly prevalent in businesses. The first stat that kind of catches everybody's eyes, of the survey participants, there's about 600, a little bit over 600 participants, different types of businesses across the U.S. They have experienced fraud at the rate of 62% over the past 12 months. So it's out there in that space. And then when you go a little bit deeper into the numbers, 77% of those surveyed also experienced a fraud related to check writing. So within the different areas of payments, you can see that check writing is certainly one of the more riskier channels that is out there. The other piece that's interesting to a lot of folks is wire fraud. So wire fraud is typically seen as a very secure channel, and it is, but we've seen an increase in that fraud occurrence as well. That's gone from about 14% to 27%, so nearly doubling. The driver of that's really one particular culprit, and it's called business email compromise. That's a type of fraud that's out there. It's also known as spear phishing. And it is something that's definitely in place and is driving that number. So when you pull back and look at businesses in total, what are they experiencing in financial loss? The average loss that they're seeing is around $20,000. So if that's the average, you know that some are smaller than that, and then there are some that are much larger than that. So that's why it's on business owners' minds. Our advice is just to stay vigilant and to make sure that you're talking to your banking partner and other resources to put safeguards in place for your business.
Got it. So can you elaborate a little bit when a client comes to you and says, we're really nervous about this? What are some of the steps or advice that you take, that you recommend they take?
Sure. So if you're suspecting fraud within the business, the main step that I would recommend is really before you have that situation, is do some planning. So there's a lot of things that you can do ahead of time to think through how should my business respond in the case of fraud. So that incident management planning, crisis planning, whatever you want to call that, really begins with you thinking about this topic before you have something live and on the burner happening in the business. So a lot of that will come into play with you thinking about what's our communication plan, who do we want to escalate to, how should we be contacting our banker or our financial partner to talk about this situation? All those types of things. There may even be, depending on the depth of the fraud, there may even be a reason for you to reach out to your board and think about that type of communication for different stakeholders as well. So when you're looking at that, I mentioned reaching out to your banker, and that should be one of the top calls that you make. They can help you in isolating and securing your financial assets. They can help you in seeing if there is fraud out there. And then determining what are some of the next steps. Then the last piece, if it happens to be an internal fraud situation where you have an associate that's involved with it, you also want to reach out to your HR or your legal team. Anytime it's involving an associate, they can definitely give you good counsel in that way as well.
Definitely. So how is UMB in particular, but more broadly the financial industry and banking institutions trying to protect their clients and come up with safeguards around fraud protection?
We really look at three different areas when we think about fraud protection. So one is taking a look at your technology, making sure that you got a good refreshed technology platform and system to handle this type of environment. Two, that you have really solid internal controls that are effective within your business. And then three, thinking about your suite of products that you have with your bank. So we talked a little bit earlier about fraud protection in regards to checking. So in the situation for ensuring that you've got safeguards there, we always recommend that clients have positive pay. That's a product that is very standard in the industry, but it is something that can very much ensure that you're protected in the cases of fraud. It helps verify that the payee that you issued the check to and the amount match, and so as those clear that they're matching your records, there's been no altering of that in the process of it running through the payment system. The other piece, if you have ACH, there's filters and other protections that we can add through that electronic channel, very much like positive pay, to match the payee and the amount. So all those pieces can come together and give you a nice safety net in that way. The other piece that we always try to mention to clients is staying vigilant. And so one of the ways to do that is to make sure that you're monitoring your financial data, either in a real-time basis or on a daily basis through reconcilement and information reporting. And that's something your bank can also provide you as well, because the faster you see that there's an anomaly, then we can then step in and help you with identifying what's in play there. Is it a true fraud risk, or is there something else in play? The other piece, or the last piece I would mention, is education with your team. Just making sure your associates are aware. It's easy to make sure that your associates know how to respond when you have that plan in place and they know what to do in the case of a fraud situation. Without that, it can get a little sticky, and you don't want to be making that decision and having those actions happen live while you're in the middle of a fraud situation.
Absolutely. Any technology that you recommend for your clients to help safeguard them? You've mentioned a number of examples, but anything sort of broadly that you think really positively serves them
Sure.
in this regard?
Yeah, I mentioned, I kind of glossed over the positive pay and the ACH filters, and also the information reporting. Those three things, when you put them together with your internal processes within the company, really work together to give you that safety net and those defensive mechanisms for spotting fraud. Without those, there's definitely some risk involved with that. And we try to set expectations with clients. Even in the best case scenarios, there are definitely some risk in that. So our business is about managing that risk, recognizing that it's there, and using things like technology to help them through that.
Terrific. Thank you so much for your time. It was lovely to talk to you.
Great, thank you.